Drawbacks of alliances.
Even if strategic alliances with other companies can contribute to a firm's competitive advantage, firms have to always be aware of the potential negative aspects of alliances. A recent report published by Business Wire looked at the important issues that may lead to success or failure in the pharmaceutical industry. 16 This industry has a very high number of alliances between large pharmaceutical corporations and smaller biotechnology companies. It is a symbiotic relationship for both parties because large companies constantly need to introduce new drugs because many of the patents in their older products are expiring or new drugs cut into the profitability of their products. On the other hand, small biomedical companies need the larger companies because they usually lack capital and marketing expertise to promote their discoveries. So, while large companies constantly need to bring new drugs to market to replace products facing patent expirations, small biotech companies continuously require new funding for research and development. The cost of introducing new drugs has increased from approximately $100 million in the 1990s to $1 billion in 2008.17. This skyrocketing cost is forcing more and more companies into strategic alliances. Alliances in the pharmaceutical industry as well as alliances in other industries tend to fail because they don't employ consistent reproducible metrics to evaluate alliance performance. This lack of metric standardization leads to conflict as the two partners tend to draw different performance conclusions. Many alliances are also plagued by constant management changes, cultural differences, and not consistent expectations. Although the chemistry among the managers who negotiated the initial alliance between two companies may have been very strong, the new people who may come into these positions at later stages may not have sufficient knowledge or desire to successfully deal with their counterparts in the other company. For an alliance to be successful, the two companies have to be very careful in avoiding constant management changes or to appoint managers who have the abilities and the incentives to maintain the pre-existing relations with other companies. Cultural differences can be detrimental for the future of an alliance. Differences in culture are not only relevant for international alliances, but can also be paramount even for alliances among domestic companies. Differences in corporate cultures have to be recognized and accepted by the two respective companies. It is important for two potential partners to realize their cultural differences early in order to closely work together. The alliance between the French Renault company and the Japanese carmaker Nissan Motor Corporation is an example of an alliance plagued by huge cultural differences. Many knowledgeable observers at the time of the alliance announcement doubted that it had any chance of success. Characteristically, Gerald C. Mayers, the chairman of American Motors Company in the 1980s and a person familiar with the culture of Renault because his company had a manufacturing alliance with it in the 1980s, stated that if there are two cultures that could not get together, it's these two. 18. Other critics of the alliance questioned that the two companies could find enough synergies in purchasing, distribution, or manufacturing in order to make the alliance successful. However, the two companies had very strong motivations to undertake this very risky alliance. Renault, although fairly strong in Europe, did not have any substantial presence in any other parts of the world. An alliance with Nissan could provide the company with access to potentially lucrative Asian and North American markets where Nissan had a strong presence. Nissan, on the other hand, had accumulated high losses in the 1990s and was desperate to form an alliance that could provide it with an infusion of fresh capital. So, although huge cultural differences existed, both companies had a vested interest for the alliance to be successful. These strong incentives for a successful outcome were combined with the strong leadership of Carlos Ghosn, the charismatic head of Renault. A truly remarkable person, Carlos Ghosn was born in Brazil to Lebanese parents and was educated in the most prestigious European schools. He went back to Brazil, where he became the head of the local Renault subsidiary. His success in running the local company led him to the leadership of the Renault company in France. He devoted time, capital, and energy in the alliance with Nissan, and despite the negative predictions of most automobile analysts, he was able to turn Nissan around and make it a very successful company once again. He became a national hero in Japan, one of the few times that a foreigner was accepted by the hermetically closed Japanese business culture. 19 The Renault alliance with Nissan clearly shows how even in the existence of huge cultural differences, an alliance can be successful if strong leadership exists and both companies understand the importance of the alliance for the survival of the two parent companies.